Hello, my name is Miss Ramirez, and in this segment, we're going to be meeting one of my favorite animal friends, and that is a blue silky chicken. So the scientific name for this breed of chicken is Gallus domesticus, and that's just the scientific name. The scientific name is super important because it is the name that is universal, meaning all scientists will use this Latin genus species name. And that's important because around the world, some people might call this chicken something else, but to a scientist, it will always have the same name. So that's just for consistency. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring her out. As I bring her out, be thinking about how do you think this breed of chicken got the name blue silky chicken? So here she is. Her name is Pepper, the blue silky chicken, and she gets that name, I decided, because of the color of her feathers that she has. And the breed gets the name blue silky because they actually have these bright blue ear patches right by their ear. And they get the name silky because when you touch them, they are super soft like silk. Now, Pepper here is about 5 years old. She was actually born and hatched here at the Environmental Center. We bought her eggs, and the eggs were incubated, and out she hatched. So she's been with us for a while now. Something cool about these guys, another name for feathers is plumage. So these are feathers. Sometimes kids like to call it fur or hair because it is super soft. But these are a special type of feather called a down feather. And typically baby birds have down feathers that keeps them warm. But she doesn't actually have any flight feathers, so she's not a good flyer. You won't see her flying through the sky with the other birds. So that's the difference with this type of feather. They're just very soft, meant for warmth. And then something cool about her, she actually has black skin and black bones, and that's called melanism, and it's actually it's a mutation. And the scientific name for that mutation is fibromelainosis. So that was something interesting that I learned when I was doing research about her. Something also interesting is this breed of chicken has 5 toes. So think about people, we have 5 toes too. That's actually odd for chickens because most chickens only have 4 toes. And so I remember when I went out of town for winter break a couple years ago, and I had someone feeding my animals, and someone was taking care of her, and they thought something was wrong with her because they have chickens and their chickens all had 4 toes. And so she asked me, well, is something wrong with your chicken because she has 5 toes? And I never really thought about it. And so I looked it up, and sure enough, the blue silkies are among the few breeds of chickens that actually have 5 toes. So they're actually kind of an oddball of a chicken because they're different in many ways. They have different kinds of feathers. They have those weird blue ear patches on their ears, and they also have 5 toes. Something interesting about these guys is they have a super calm temperament, and she almost reminds me of a dog. So I let her roam around my classroom, and she will follow me around. She knows her name, so when I say Pepper, she'll come running to me. And then something interesting, everyone always asks me about their eggs. They're not the best egg layers. They only lay maybe like 1 to 3 eggs a week. She actually doesn't lay quite a lot at all. Sometimes she'll get up to 3 eggs a week, and then sometimes I can go months without any eggs. And something interesting about those eggs, her eggs are not fertile. So if I were to crack open her eggs would never turn into baby chicks because she does not have a boy rooster to mate with. So chickens, female chickens are called hens, and hens will lay eggs. Now, sometimes those eggs will be fertile if they're around boy chickens and they mate, and sometimes they will be not fertile if they're not around boy chickens to mate. So in this case, Pepper here does not have any boyfriends, so she does not have any fertilized eggs. I have eaten her eggs before, and they taste just like the eggs you guys buy from the grocery store, so there really isn't much of a difference. The only difference is her eggs are a little bit smaller, and that's why this breed is not used for egg laying because they don't lay a lot and their eggs are smaller. So money-wise, people usually don't have these for eggs. And then something interesting about these guys, they originate from China. So sometimes people will call these the Chinese chicken, and in Chinese, the name for this chicken is the Wu Guji, and that means black bone chicken. So this is actually considered a delicacy in Asia. They will actually eat this breed of chicken. So that was interesting as well. Now I love chicken too. I like the chicken nuggets and especially the chicken sandwiches from McDonald's and Popeyes. Those are great. But if you notice, if you ever eat chicken, when it's raw, the skin and meat is kind of like a white color. Her skin and meat is a totally different color. And so that's why we don't eat this breed of chicken in the US. And I'll actually show you a picture of what her meat would look like. But again, she's my pet, so I'm not going to be using her for food. And then it is thought that Marco Polo was the first person to ever write about this breed of chicken. So this is about in the 13th century. Marco Polo referred to this chicken as the furry chicken because he thought it looked like fur. But again, we know that these are actually feathers. So they're also nicknamed the furry chicken, but just know they're not. It's not fur at all. So she's actually a bird. So I'm going to go ahead and put her down really quick and show you guys a quick little PowerPoint just so that you guys can see what her what her feathers, her bones, and her skin actually looks like. So even I mess up sometimes, but just be aware that those are actually feathers and not fur that she has on her body. So she is a bird. She is warm-blooded just like us. She has feathers instead of hair, though it might be deceiving, and she lays eggs. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you guys and look at a quick little PowerPoint just to learn a little bit more about our feathered friend here. So let me present my screen. So again, we know that Pepper is a bird, and so in scientific words, we call that she's in class Aves. So scientists put animals in groups or classes. She's a vertebrate, and that just means she has a backbone. So humans are vertebrates too. We have a backbone. She's both predator and prey. So predator because she hunts other things for food. I have seen her eat cockroaches. She eats mealworms. She eats all sorts of insects like grasshoppers. It's so funny to watch her hunt during the summertime when I let her outside. She loves those grasshoppers. I've even seen her eat a lizard, a tiny little lizard. I've seen her eat a snake, a tiny grass snake before. So she is an excellent hunter. She's a very good predator. She has that nice sharp beak that she will stab whatever she's eating with, and then she'll kind of just like gulp it whole. So chickens don't actually have teeth. And then she's also a prey animal as well. There's lots of predators out here that would love to eat her for food. So here at the Environmental Center, we have things like coyotes, we have bobcats, we have foxes, we even have hawks. And we've actually lost a few of our own chickens to some of those predators. So because I love her so much, I don't really let her outside unless I am there to watch her. And then she's also an omnivore. So we know that omnivores eat both meat and plant material. I know I'm an omnivore because I love to eat meat. And of course, sometimes I'll eat my plants just to stay healthy. But she is an omnivore. And then in our next slide is just a map so that you guys can kind of get an idea of where she came from. So this breed is thought to have originated in China or somewhere in the continent of Asia. And then over time, they were brought over to North America. So in the US, they are very common as pets because they are so gentle and calm. And then here's just a little diagram of chicken anatomy. So you'll see here an important organ called a gizzard. Now, I told you earlier that chickens do not have teeth. So we know that with people, teeth are very important. We use them for chewing. So the science word for chew is masticate. So again, teeth help us to break down our food so that it can digest easier. Chickens don't have teeth. So how do you think their body breaks down their food? Well, their body has a special organ inside called a gizzard. You might even be familiar with gizzards. Some people like to eat the gizzards. I've tried it myself, not a huge fan, but especially during Thanksgiving, if you buy the whole turkey, it has the gizzard and other little giblet pieces inside that people will put with their stuffing and dressing for Thanksgiving. Or I know Chicken Express sells livers and gizzards as well. So if you're an adventurous eater, go ahead and try some gizzards one day. But that gizzard is actually a super important organ. What ends up happening is the chicken will actually eat small pieces of sand, little pieces of rock, or it's called grit. So they'll actually eat those small pebbles and rocks. They will eat it, and it goes inside the gizzard. So think of the gizzard as like a little balloon. The chicken will eat the little pebbles and rocks, and it will go inside the gizzard. Whenever the chicken eats other food, like it's lettuce and leaves and the grasshoppers, all of that stuff will end up in the gizzard too. Once it's in the gizzard will contract. So it kind of moves like back and forth. And as it's contracting, moving back and forth, it's crushing its food with those rocks and pebbles. So rocks and pebbles are actually really good for crushing things, and that's what's happening inside that gizzard. It's crushing the food. So that's how come chickens, you'll see them scratching and eating sometimes rocks and pebbles. It doesn't make them sick. Their body needs it to help them crush food. And as you can see in the picture, here's a gizzard that's been open, and you can see the tiny pieces of rock or gravel. If you have chickens as pet, I know I feed her grit. I go to the store and buy a bag of grit, and it's just crushed minerals and rocks. And that, again, is to help with digestion. And then here, remember I was telling you guys that their skin and bones are different than the chickens that we eat here in the US. So they actually have blackish skin and bones. And again, that is due to melanism. And that's just a mutation that these chickens actually have. And in Asia, it's considered a delicacy. It's one of those cool things that people eat. I honestly, in my opinion, I would think it would taste just like a regular chicken. Again, the only difference is just the color. In the US, they don't really sell that breed of chicken, just because I guess most Americans would look at that and think, oh, that looks weird. But that was something interesting that I learned. And again, you can see here's the blue Silkie chicken here, and then you can see the regular chickens here. Now in the US, the most common breed of chicken that is used for food is the white leghorn. And poultry manufacturers like the white leghorn for food production because it's a bigger chicken, so you get more meat. That means you get more money if you sell it, but also because it has that white skin, when the feathers are pulled out, it doesn't leave ugly markings on it. And I guess for most American consumers, you know, we buy food with our eyes, so we don't want to buy something that looks kind of gross or ugly. So I think that's why people, poultry producers, tend to go with the white leghorn chicken for food. One, because it's big, and two, because it looks prettier when they dress it up and have to sell it for food. So that's an interesting little thing there. And then the last thing we're going to do, I'm going to stop my screen share, and I'm actually going to share my iPad screen, and I'm going to let you guys watch Pepper eat some mealworms. So it might take me a second to get my iPad paired with my Zoom account. So if you'll just give me a second while y'all are waiting for me to get this iPad paired, think about, what do you think a mealworm is, and how do you think she's going to eat it? So think about that question as I get myself prepared for this screen share. And I'm almost there. I just have to get my Zoom picked up and my camera going. And we should be good to go. So if I come over here, here's what my mealworms look like. So mealworms, if you saw the other video when I was talking about the hissing cockroaches, if you have not seen that video yet, go back and watch it, because I go over the life cycle of a mealworm, and I go over more in depth about what these actually are. So mealworms are not actual worms. I don't know how they got that name, but mealworms are actually larvae. They actually have legs, and they will turn into an adult beetle when they grow up. Now, unfortunately, these larvae are fixed to be food, so they're not going to complete their life cycle. But I actually raise these for food because we have lots of animals that love to eat them. So I am going to take Pepper out. I'm going to put her on the floor, and we're going to watch her observe and enjoy food. So let me take her out of her little holding area. And there she is. So you can actually see some beetles on the floor that are backwards. You can see her using that strong beak of hers to stab at those mealworms. I think she likes the mealworms more than she likes the beetles. The beetles do have a hard outer exoskeleton, but she will eat the beetles as well. This potato I had in there because the box where the mealworms live, they actually get water from the potatoes. These mealworms are important for chickens because it provides them with protein, which is a nutrient that we need as well. But this is a good example of a food chain. So everything has to eat something else for energy or food. So I know y'all might be thinking, oh, it's so horrible that she's killing and eating something else, but think about the foods we eat. I know I like to eat things like hamburgers and chicken nuggets. Those things come from other animals. So if I eat burgers, I'm eating a cow. If I'm eating chicken nuggets, I'm eating a chicken. So it's all part of the food chain. So I'm going to let her finish roaming around. I think she's just about full for the day. And we're going to come back to the computer. And I'm going to stop screen share. And that's all I have for you guys for Pepper the chicken. We hope someday soon you'll be able to come and visit us.